Unicorn Overlord originally got announced on September 2023 until Direct, and is the latest title by Vanillaware. This time they're making a tactical RPG, trying to boast a very large amount of units, specifically unit types in this game. So they're clearly trying to go big with this one. I believe they also apparently went over budget just with the base game they made. So that's kind of, oh jeez. The main premise is the kingdom of Corneria suffered rebellion at the hands of General Valmore. The Queen Lydia decides as a last-ditch effort to have her son Alain sworn out with the ring of the unicorn in case she were to fail here today. Now that's been 10 years later, Alain must lead a rebellion in order to liberate all the lands that have all been conquered by General Valmore, now trying to reform the ancient Zenoran Empire. The story in this game never hooked me. That wasn't a bad story, far from it, but despite all the side quests you had, or trying to flesh out the story, or the reports you can have between units, I don't know, nothing really grabbed me in this game narrative-wise, especially not the main character, Alain, who, he's not a bad protagonist, but he just feels so bland, like he never has anything interesting to say, or if characters talk to him, they're talking about him and not him ever talking about himself or his whole entire character. It just feels weird. He just feels so bland, especially since the other characters feel more lively and have their own things going on. But Alain himself, I don't feel like just didn't have much for him. Which is also weird because this game does also have options in the story that you can do. But it feels like they made Alain that way to where they try to justify why he would do both options, but they made it so he's so uncaring about it that either option works because he doesn't really care about either way. Speaking of the whole entire dialogue option prompts in the game, there are options where the game will ask you if you want to essentially spare someone or execute them. And I'll be honest, the devs made this very one-sided. If you execute them, then you get some resources, but it's resources that you can probably get another way, so that's kind of not that interesting. If you spare them, then odds are you'll get a new unit, and then that unit will help you unlock another new unit down the road. So which one do you feel is the better option here? You can also hire units in this game, generic units, and they're basically not that much different from an actual named unit, except for the fact that they don't have any actual narrative purpose. But getting a named unit and everything in their story is probably more interesting than just getting some resources you can get another way and replacing them with just a generic unit. Now for the gameplay, something I find interesting is that you actually make an entire team with your units, not just sending them out one at a time, maybe 2 people to pair. No, you form up to potentially 5 units in one team, so you can pretty much control their whole entire dynamic and who goes where in order to have the classes that you put there synergize with each other. Or also, even before fights, you can also rearrange them in order to try and decrease the damage you're taking or increase the damage you're dealing. So organization heavily matters in how you form your teams. Even up to each enemy encounter, you can still try and finagle your way and basically try to find the right customization with it. And that feels super cool, especially with a game with this many characters. It's super cool that you basically just have a bunch of them together at once as an entire unit, as an entire group, and that's very cool. Else I really like is the Valor skills, where when you get Valor in battle, you can use them to use skills or special ability each of the characters have, which is going to be pretty useful, especially as, let's say you have a unit going up against another enemy unit that basically the game says, yeah, you're not winning this. You could use Valor skills that deal damage to just keep decreasing that enemy unit's HP to the point where your unit that normally would stand a chance won't be able to win the fight because the enemy has been weakened enough. And I love being able to do that. Or you can just use Valor skills to just deal so much damage to enemies, you basically just shred them and annihilate them from the map without ever needing to actually encounter them.
What shall I do?
I've lost enough already.
Departing. I'll prove my worth. What shall I do? I depart.
That kind of way they handle with with the Valor skills is super cool, especially the way they also make some of them have way more uses. Like, there's some that they use for a double use. It's one that I love, where you make an entire storm cloud that can be used to heal your group. But you can also use it to put out fires as far as on the map, and there are some Valor skills that they give an extra use for in certain situations, which is also a very cool way of handling the mechanic, where it's not just maybe just the ability they have by default, also secondary ability you can use. Like, what I love is for people on horses, Wild Rush, but I also love it because of big damaging attack. You can also use it just to basically have them skip over some hazards on the ground without taking damage. I love that! That's why equipment can also give you new skills. My favorite one being the equipment that gives you the ability to poison people, because the game does not take that aspect into account when it comes to calculation, but you can't turn the time of fight even at disadvantage. I remember earlier in the game, where the game's like, listen man, stop putting Alain against these big shield guys that can deal damage. You know what will deal damage? The poison I'm doing to them, because I'm killing them like a real royalty, poisoning them to death. And it worked! So sometimes the damage calculation doesn't include aspects like that when it comes to calculating who will win a battle. So remember to also take into account what kind of equipment you're also using, another cool aspect of the game. Another very cool thing is that as you go through battlefield maps, you can also get command posts for the enemy in order to get more checkpoints and healing spots. But you can have your units withdraw from a command post and then deploy them again from a different one, having them basically zoom around the map that way. On top of also Valor skills, they can also have the characters teleport or teleport them towards you. So there's also way more maneuverability. You don't have to wait for a character to just walk across a map by themselves. You can just basically use a shortcut and you got the command post, because some maps can be very big, which is also very cool. It's another very cool way of handling map traversal in a tactical RPG. Something also cool is that after you do these missions, you then unlock the area for you to use, or to get towns and forts and stuff like that. So I wish there were kind of one and the same, because you either find a town and a fort in order to do separate things. Can get annoying at times, although you can't just fast travel on the world map and everything to one. But just feels a bit unnecessary to have them be two separate things, especially when sometimes they'll be right next to each other in a big town. But one of my gripes is that there are many liberation quests in this game that are just very small battles. I mean, extremely short, like take you less than a minute battles.
I ride for Corneria. What shall I do? Yeah!
Order must be preserved. I rise to any challenge. It shall be done.
I shall never fail. Another
I'm pleased with this.
That honestly feel like they don't serve much of a purpose, even have them be a battle gonna be that short. Like, some of them do try to have like a fun little gimmick to them, but a lot of them can just be done in like a minute. So I don't really know why some of them really exist like that. It just feels weird. There are also some maps that exist just to give you a level grinding spot, essentially, where you can just go in and just repeat it over and over to level grind. But they also give you items that can also increase XP for your units, and the items have a little disclaimer that says that if the unit is below a certain level, then the XP the item gives them triples. Which means they really want you to really repeat these quests in order to catch up newer units you haven't been using up to speed. Which is a super convenient way of having units, because there's so many units, some are going to slip through the cracks and not basically not get XP. So it's a cool way of making sure they're up to snuff with everyone else. And I really appreciate that, especially since there's multiple of them that go up and up in difficulty to give you more better items for EXP. Another aspect of strategizing is the fact that each unit, you can also customize their skill loadout. With that I mean, you can customize when they use certain skills, under what conditions they use those skills in battle, so you can have even more control and even set the priority level of skills in battle, which, once again, based on how you set it up, can really make a huge difference in your battling. I remember one fight I had where I was having some difficulty because one character kept using all their AP in order to do a big AoE skill and there's only one target, so I supposed to do instead a lower cost skill that can repeat multiple times, and they were just shredding enemy because now they're getting more hits in. So you definitely want to customize if things aren't working well. Check, hey, is my loadout properly put? Do I just change the priority system on this? Check that. Make sure you check that, because that's a lot of things you take into account when it comes to strategy in this game. There's also assist as well. If you have certain unit leaders, such as archers, people who use magic, they can also assist you in battles if they happen to be nearby, just as dealing damage or healing your party at the end of a turn. So there's even more you can think about having certain units that may not be great for traversal, or maybe could potentially be killed easily themselves, but if they're nearby other units, they can still support them as well in order to do that in battles. And that's another thing to take into account. There's just so many different things to take into account, not even including the items you can use, the items that enemies also use, that also help you in battle. There's just so many things, just so many ways to take into account, and also help you with, as let's say, a level difference. You can pick up the level difference, try to do stuff like this. It's just a super cool way of handling a freaking tactical RPG. Tactical RPG is also just but one part of the game. You also have a little adventure part, Overworld map, where they're doing side quests, getting resources, stationing guards, doing deliveries, in order to get to actually station those guards to begin with, because I hate the fact that they get deliveries first, and then station the guard, which will get you more resources as well. You station your units. Don't worry, your units stay with you, in the station places. We get more benefits for doing so. Do the little Overworld side quest around the world as well. Basically an entire adventure game in this freaking tactical RPG as well. That's just super cool. Another cool thing is the fact that some NPCs will give us little challenges with new units you may not have come across yet, so you can test and make a formation for those new unit types. So you can that way when you see them in battle, you'll know what to do. I love that whole aspect of Overworld, giving you these little challenges so you know what you're going up against, and it can make a team around it beforehand, before going to a fight. Rather than doing trial and error, you do trial and error already before you even go into a battle. That's also super cool. Much as way earlier, but characters can build rapport, whether it be you have the characters on the same team, or you have characters eat food together at the tavern.
Enjoy now.
Delightful. Simply inspiring. As though it were made by the royal chef.
You can also build rapport and get conversations for each other. I don't think much of them, but hey, you can do that if you want to. And it's very important you buff characters build rapport with Alain. I won't say why, but it is the very thing that you should know. There is just so much stuff for Unicorn Overlord. Once again, I can see how developers accidentally went over a budget with the scope. There's just so much in this game that honestly didn't expect the game to be this large and just have this much content into it. I know they're so disappointed by basically the almost non-existent post-game content, but when the main game content has this much stuff going for it, I think you can live without post-game content. Like, come on, let's be fair here. There's a lot going on in this game. The game also has multiple endings, and one thing I appreciate is the fact that, let's say you don't get one of the endings you want, one of the cool things that let you repeat the final mission, and let you repeat the final section of final mission, instead of having to do the entire thing over again, or some games, replay the entire game over again. So I do appreciate that whole entire aspect, and they thought about that, hey, you want to just repeat the final section, you can just do that instead of having to redo the entire mission, which is super cool, which is a super cool way of handling that. Overall, I just really like Unicorn Overlord. Any of my gripes I had with the narrative or with the latest protagonist is completely overshadowed by just how great the gameplay is. The fact that you put your units into entire parties, which just sacrifice the issue of having so many characters. Because by the end, you're going to have more slots available than you are units because of how many teams you can make, and them all being potentially up to 5 each. So that entire thing I find really cool. It's an issue to have other tactical RPGs, not enough slots for my units. So that's pretty cool. The Valor system for combat is also super cool. The fact that you get skills you use in the battlefield as well in order to help you out, or also secondary abilities that can just help you with map traversal, just stuff like that. The fact that you use the command post as a heal spot. They mentioned that each map has a time limit. It was only put in the game. I was taking advantage of the fact that you can have your characters heal in a command post, which also takes up your time. So what you can do is the whole entire aspect of, oh, I want to heal characters while using my items and stuff, but you have a time limit on every map, so you be careful of your time as well. I love how they manage that, giving you a time limit so we can't just exploit such features like that, which is super cool with handling it. Also, that enemies who are command posts will also heal, so to constantly be aggressive, try to take out an enemy in a command post. You need to have way more aggression, otherwise it's gonna just heal all damage you just did. So you can't just slowly chip away at them. You gotta be aggressive with your units, have them at the ready. Which once again is super cool way of handling it. It's just super cool gameplay system, and Vanillaware hit out of the park. It's just super damn great. And the adventure aspect, I don't think it's so great. It is still good with the whole entire overworld quest you can do. Try to solve puzzles overworld, try to do it to a certain order or stuff like that, or try to do tasks you can do in order to get alternate endings as well for this game. Like, it's just a super fun game that keeps rewarding you at every turn for playing the game and how you do things. Although I still feel like the do you want to spare execute this person aspect could have had way more to it, because there's no real reason to execute them other than just being a dick, because just no real benefit to doing so, and just that part still disappoints me. That whole entire aspect, I thought there'd be more to it, man. Like, not there'd be a whole entire morality system, but no, it's just a choice of you want resources or you want a new recruit potentially. And even then, not even until you get resources for it, I executed some people without even knowing I even got resources for doing so. So that aspect could have been done more with, but with a game so packed as this, I can't let that whole entire thing slide.
My wounds are deeper than I realized.